I will start this video how most of those Genshin is dying videos should actually start. This is my own opinion based on my own experiences. If you have a different one, do tell. Because let's be honest, some of those Genshin is dying videos should just have a "for me" at the end of the title. It's usually just the ramblings of a burnt out player that doesn't realize they're burnt out, or that they just don't enjoy the game anymore and should either take a break or quit. Or, my least favorite, just someone looking for quick views because they can't make any actual useful content. Hi, this is basically a well-organized rant, so yeah, let's get started. Today I'll be discussing two main topics, discussing Genshin hate videos as a whole, and my opinions on Genshin's improvement over the years. If you're new to the fandom, you might not know this, but whenever Genshin's at the tail end of a region update or just during filler patches in general, some videos or tweets or just content in general are made that basically boil up to Genshin is dying, here has killed Genshin, if they don't do this and that, Genshin killer, yada yada yada. It has become expected at this point, it's almost a tradition even. When we have filler patches, just expect a lot more negativity towards the game than usual. It will die down when the new region gets released and come back again when we have filler patches. Now, I do want to say that there is a chance that some of these videos just have clickbaity titles and thumbnails, but do actually have something of value to offer in the actual video itself. But as someone who tends to not click on them unless I have watched the content creator before and I know they're more sensible than that, or for example for this video, because I had to watch some just to get a general gist of what they usually talk about, most of them are exactly what they sound like. Rage bait videos from people who have a hate boner for the game, or people who don't realize the game just isn't for them anymore and they need to take a break or quit. There is criticism and then there is complaining and hating. A lot of these videos are just people complaining / hating. I'm not talking about someone in particular, but Genshin hate videos in general. Before I get the, oh, so we can't criticize something anymore? Genshin shills can't handle someone criticizing their shitty game. Of course you can. Criticizing the media you consume is healthy media consumption. I'm not making this video to pretend like Genshin is the best game ever and it has no issues. God knows that's not true. But when you make a video claiming the game is dying and people are losing interest, but you proceed to 1, not show any actual proof of that, except for like some Google Trends data, and 2, ignore a good portion of the fan base that begs to differ, it does come off more as complaining and whining and less of criticizing the game. Criticism comes at the issue with the intention of shedding light on the issue, not to belittle the game, the developers, or the ones that play it, but to show there is an issue and give a potential solution or compromise. Complaint, however, is just complaining. They have no intention on fixing the issue and at times will even over-dramatize the issue in question just to make their complaint feel more important than it actually is, plus bringing down anyone who disagrees with them on the topic. For example, the topic of Genshin's how easy it is. There are 2 ways you can go about it. Saying, Genshin is an easy game. Here are ways miHoYo can make it harder for those that want slightly harder content. And then there is, Genshin is a baby game and only children enjoy it. One acknowledges the issue and proposes a way to fix it. The other is just hating for the sake of it. And I assure you, the video is going to end with, I love this game and I just want the best for it. And the comment section is going to be filled with people going, oh, Hoyo shills can't handle their game being criticized. True, the Genshin community cannot handle criticism, but those videos are not criticism. They're just a grown adult whining about a gacha game. If you want to complain, go ahead. And don't pretend like it's anything but that. Just leave a little rant, just what I'm doing. You are allowed to rant on the internet. It's fine, just don't sit there and pretend like your video is some form of critique on the game. I've watched genuine critique of Genshin Impact before. They tend to be actual critiques and not just bitching and moaning for like 30 minutes. There's also a lot of people that think Genshin doesn't get criticized enough. But as someone who sees constant negativity hurled at this game on the daily, I would have to disagree. People in this fandom are either too negative or too positive. Neither is good, and people need to learn to voice their complaints or critiques properly, while also discerning if what they are feeling can ever be resolved. Because I am sure some people don't even know what they want from the game, or that the thing they want would change the game in a bad way for everyone else. For example, making a game that is very exploration and story forward, extremely combat oriented, just because that's what you want. Criticism is important, but what's also important is figuring out if you just don't like the game anymore. This game has many different types of players. Just because you're not satisfied with the state of the game doesn't mean the game is dying and everyone also isn't satisfied, or that those that are satisfied are Hoyo shills and liars, and that we're all just gacha addicts forcing ourselves to play this game as if miHoYo has our family hostage. On the other end of the spectrum, just because you are satisfied with the state of the game doesn't mean no one's allowed to criticize it. Keyword, criticize. If you think Genshin Impact is the worst gacha game in existence and can't believe anyone is playing it, that's fine. Just don't consume Genshin media. It's that simple. I don't know why you would continue consuming something you hated to that extent. The weird thing about Genshin haters is they will probably bring up Genshin in places that doesn't matter a lot more than Genshin players actually will. You know, the whole living in your head rent-free? That is the definition of Genshin haters. Another point of contention that I see is that Genshin hasn't changed in 4 years, which is just not true. The experience of someone who starts doing 5.0, which is the upcoming release, is going to be much better than someone who started in 1.0, 2.0, or even 3.0. Genshin's base game has improved, whether you want to admit it or not. To say the game hasn't changed in 4 years is objectively wrong because it has. Maybe not in the ways you wanted it to, or even at the speed that you want it to, but it has changed for the better. A good portion of those improvements came during Fontaine, and I'm expecting more in Natlan, but MiHoYo has been improving the game since Inazuma. I feel like most of the ones that say, the game hasn't changed in 4 years, are people who quit in like version 1 and are still salty about it for some reason. Again, why are you consuming Genshin content if you hate it? You sound like a clingy ex. Go away. But, I hear you start. It took 4 years, and that sucks, but what does complaining about that do? Saying it took 4 years is a valid but borderline unnecessary complaint, especially if it's accompanied with you then getting upset at the people who are excited for it. Just because for you it took 4 years, doesn't mean it took 4 years for everyone else. And regardless, even if someone has been playing since release, people are allowed to be excited for things. The thing about Genshin haters is they can't just hate Genshin by themselves. They need to make sure everyone else hates it too. Whenever MiHoYo releases a quality of life, and there are people who are genuinely excited for said quality of life, because again, it's quality of life and we barely get any. There are people in the comment section like, this is why the game is bad, because you guys settle for mediocrity. My guy, please explain to me what is the other option. Exactly. Oh, it took them 4 years? Okay, I'm just not gonna use it because it took them 4 years. You sound like an idiot. Because hey, at least we got it, and I know people hate hearing that. Could they have done it sooner? Probably. Should they have done it sooner? Yes. But complaining about how long it took doesn't turn back time and cause it to be released earlier. Nor does it make the update no longer necessary. If you've quit the game because you thought they would never add it, you quit because they didn't add it quick enough. That's fine. That's perfectly valid. Well, I don't know why you're back here complaining that they've added. You're complaining that they've added it, huh? People tend to forget that they're not the only people playing the game, and that new players join this game all the time. Just because for you it took 4 years, you don't need it anymore, doesn't mean that's the same for everyone else. MiHoYo isn't updating the game for only you or for only people who started 4 years ago. It's for everyone, new players included. I understand Genshin needs to improve its combat, endgame, and late game user experience. That I can agree with. And if you have a video where someone is actually talking about what sort of endgame they would want or ways to improve these things rather than just going on a tangent about how much the game is dying, I would be happy to watch it. Because as someone who doesn't really care too much about combat in this game, like if I wanted a combat heavy game, guess what? I'd go play a combat heavy game. I don't see that much of an issue with Genshin's combat. So I would love to hear your side, the side of like people who want more combat oriented stuff. But my point still stands. Making overtly negative videos about the state of the game does nothing but spread negativity. I don't expect this to change anytime soon. I'm sure 5-6 years down the line, there will be people complaining about one thing or the other. But as long as you, the player, the person watching this, are having fun, don't let others tell you you shouldn't. But also be able to take critique or criticism on the media that you consume. And if this game no longer brings you joy and you just don't enjoy it anymore, guess what? You can quit. Video games are made for enjoyment purposes. If a game is no longer serving that purpose, why stay? It's about to be 4 years now. Many more open world games are coming out with their own spin on things. A bunch of them are coming out in 2025, so heads up to those. Maybe one of them will suit your fancy. There is no reason to stick with one that doesn't anymore. You sound like a clingy ex that can't move on, and you're making everyone else miserable with your unnecessary negativity. The game has enough negativity as is. We could do with less. Anyways, that is all I have for today. Comment your thoughts down below. Do you think Genshin is dying? I don't. Are you okay with the state of the game? I feel like they could be doing more. Tell me about it. Subscribe and see you whenever.